I want to introduce my guest today, Dr. Alan Dattner. Thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Now, as I said in the beginning, you are in a fascinating field because there are dermatologists in the world who practice medicine a certain way. They've been schooled in traditional methods, allopathic methods, and that leads to certain results. And you have come along and you've said, I want to do something a little different.
That's correct.
And you have a holistic approach, which I am very much in alignment with. So what I'd like you to do is tell us about your background, about how this all started for you. You were in college, you became a doctor, and what happened after that?
Well, actually, it started while I was in college. I started working at a little laboratory in Rye called Sloan Kettering, and in a field called tumor immunology, which was only occupying one room there. It's grown logarithmically since, but that got me very interested in the field of lymphocyte studies, delayed hypersensitivity, and cellular immunology. And I continue those studies on and off throughout my medical school and afterwards. And during my fellowship, during my residency, and finally afterwards at the National Institute of Health, at the National Cancer Institute in the dermatology branch. And our work there demonstrated the nature of the recognition of the lymphocyte between different kinds of substances. We call it cross-reactive recognition. And it was that understanding of cross-reactive recognition that let me understand how diet could actually change what the body's immune system was recognizing, and how that might pertain to different substances in one's food causing inflammation or contributing to inflammation. And so that strengthened my pursuit of the pathway of diet and disease in the skin.
So how many years ago was this that you're talking
Well,
about?
that was in the late 70s. In 1976, I went to the NIH. I left Pelham, where I was living, and packed up my belongings and wife and went down to Maryland and worked as a visiting scientist for almost 3 years.
Okay, and so that was a long time ago, and
then
you must have
after
been one of the pioneers in this field.
Yes, I believe I'm one of the early pioneers, perhaps one of the people who started this field.
Wow.
And as you probably see, my website, Holistic Dermatology .com is #1 on Google for that.
Wow, great.
Probably because I started so many years ago before other people got into it. After I left there, I was hoping to do some studies on nutrition and the immune response, but it was a very difficult thing to find people with the imagination to do that at that time, and the funding. So I wound up joining a clinic in Putnam, Connecticut, connected with the Yoga Institute, that was very much oriented towards vegetarianism and supplements and nutritional therapies. And from there, just kept on learning and kept on building. I was part of a small seminal group of physicians throughout the Northeast who met and flew in speakers several times a year, discussing topics in this area, and over a period of 17 years got to learn a lot and meet a lot of people who also were key people in coming forth with new ideas on how to put these things together. And I must emphasize that although some of the information came from holistic medicine and from the periphery and from traditional techniques, a lot of it really was based on good hard science that was just being interpreted and highlighted in a different way than most of my colleagues highlighted that science.
So what have you been noticing over the years?
Well, I've been noticing over the years that the things that I've been excited about take 10, 20 years before they catch on, and then they catch on really big. For instance, I would be getting up at meetings, at scientific meetings, and saying, well, why don't we put some vitamin E and vitamin C into these immunodeficient mice that are being exposed to light or radiation and see what that does? And people would poo-poo me and shut me up. Well, I went on with it like this for years, and then the whole cosmeceutical industry started about 10 or 15 years ago using the kinds of things that I was talking about. So I've been seeing so many of the things that I've been predicting coming into fruition that now I'm beginning to say it's time for me to bring a few of the things that I've been thinking about that haven't already been taken into account into fruition.